Alright, what's up everyone? How's it going? Welcome back to the Rideshare Hub. My name's Dylan. Thank you so much for coming by. I really do appreciate it. So I'm literally about to go to the gym. Like, I'm in my gym clothes, got my new Nikes on, but I wanted to make this video for you guys because it is something that's been on my mind for a while now. And it's just, I've been getting a lot of comments on this, and if you guys know, a lot of you guys are asking, why are you doing so many polls on the YouTube channel? Well, there's an alarming rate of drivers who are buying new cars for Uber and for Lyft. And I wanna tell you why that's a horrible idea, why you should never buy a new car for Uber and for Lyft. It is currently 2020 while you're watching this video, while I'm making this video. You could be watching this in 2021 or 2022 or whatever. So buying a new car, there's a lot of people who comment, oh, I just bought a new 2020 Hyundai Elantra, or a 2020 Kia Soul, a 2020 Honda Civic, and I'm so excited to drive for Uber. It is such a horrible idea, and I want to tell you why. And if you're about to buy a new car for Uber and for Lyft, treat this as a warning video on why you should not buy a new car for Uber and for Lyft. I'm gonna get into the reasons. I'm not just gonna say why it's a bad idea, or I'm not just gonna say it's a bad idea. I'm gonna tell you why it's a bad idea. And then also, if you did just buy a new car for Uber and for Lyft, try to return that thing. Literally take it back to the dealership and beg them to give you a refund and take it back. You wanna buy a used car for Uber and for Lyft. Just a little background on myself. Oh gosh. This is the car that I use for Uber and for Lyft. Is this car brand new? No. Is this car the best car in the world? No. Does it work for Uber and for Lyft? Yes. This car works just fine. How much money did this cost me? Can you guys guess? It cost me $5,000. The reason why you don't want to buy a new car for Uber and for Lyft, there are so many reasons. I could literally tell you 20 reasons why. The first main reason is that you're not an employee. You are paying for this car for yourself. And Uber and Lyft can deactivate you at any second, and all of a sudden you're stuck with a brand new car. And you might be thinking, oh, well, I'm gonna use it for myself anyway, and I'm gonna make all the money back. I had somebody comment saying that, oh, I just bought a 2020 Infiniti, or a brand new car for $35,000, but I make over $100,000 a year driving for Uber. If you really do make over $100,000 a year, that's insane. But either way, do you want to have $34,000 worth of expenses just on your car, not including gas, not including maintenance? Heck no. I don't want to put that all on my expenses. I want to keep my expenses low. You want to keep your expenses at $5,000–$10,000 max on your car. The second reason why, so just going back on the first one, a lot of drivers do buy really nice cars thinking that they're gonna pay it off to drive for Uber and for Lyft, and then I don't know, something goes wrong and horribly wrong, and they get deactivated, and now they can't even pay off their car. Now they're stuck with a new car. That's a huge problem in itself. Number two is that your car's gonna depreciate. You're gonna put a lot of miles on your car. You're gonna put on way more than the average person. I've heard, I'm just gonna address some contests to this, some replies that I've gotten to this. Well, people say, oh, well, I commute to work anyway, might as well, I still use my personal car to commute to work. What's the difference? The difference is you're putting on 10 times, if not 20 times more miles on your car than if you commute to work. You commute to work 30 minutes a day, you put on 20 miles there and 20 miles back on your normal job. When you're driving for Uber, you're putting on 200, 300 miles a day. You're gonna put on, if you're driving even part-time 30 hours a week, you're gonna be putting on 60,000 miles a year, 70,000 miles a year. If you're driving full-time, literally no joke, you're gonna be putting on over 100,000 miles a year on your car. Think and do the math, guys. Be smart about this. What happens when you put on 100, let's just say 50. What happens when you put on 50,000 miles on a brand new car? That costs let's say you bought it for $30,000. That brand new car now has 50,000 miles on it. Now, how much is it worth? It's worth about $15,000. Maybe even less. You just lost $15,000. Depreciation is real. I know a lot of people like don't believe that because they just finance their cars and they're like, oh, I'll just pay it off later. You're gonna have to pay that off eventually. If you finance a car for Uber and for Lyft, you're gonna have to pay that loan eventually. It's gonna be stuck with you. Or if, you know, when you go to trade it in, you're gonna still have that loan. So many drivers who buy new cars end up upside down in their loans. If you don't know what that is, do your research. What does it mean to be upside down in your loan? On your car loan, it pretty much means that the loan that the money that you still owe on your car is more than your car's actual value. It is scary, and a lot of people, you know, they don't teach people this in high school or even in college unless you're taking a personal finance management course, which those aren't even that popular anyway. Sorry, there's a helicopter. There's 2 helicopters. Nice. So what ends up happening? Are you circling? Okay. So what ends up happening when you are upside down in your car loan is that you have to get something called gap insurance, which covers the gap in between how much your car is worth versus how much money you owe in your car. Another thing that happens is that you end up having a very unsecured loan and you're just owing a lot of money, and a lot of people do this. They just recycle their loans and they go back and they are paying crazy abnormal amounts of interest rate because the bank is like, well, this guy, you know, still owes $10,000 extra on his car that it's even worth. People don't want to give you loans. It ruins your credit. If you don't make the car payment, you're going to end up with super high car payments, and eventually all the money that you're making is just going to go to pay for your car on your car payment. People ask me, do I have a car payment? No, I do not. Why? Because I buy a cheap car. I buy a cheap car, and this one I did actually buy it on a car loan. It was, again, 5,000 bucks. I did finance 100% of it, and my car payment was $156 over 3 years, and my interest rate was like 2%, I think. Super loan. I got it from a credit union, but I did pay that loan off within a year driving for Rideshare. And going back, I probably wouldn't have financed the car. I probably would have saved up to try to buy it in cash. Now I only buy things in cash. I will never finance another thing. I don't want to pay interest rate. I don't want to have a payment. Like, I'm sorry guys, but I'm just so ticked off that drivers are buying brand new cars. Okay, the third reason is that Uber and Lyft don't care about drivers. They're not investing in drivers. There's no benefits. There's no set wages. There are no you can't join a rideshare union. You have really no protection. And a lot of times you're going out and driving and you're not even guaranteed rides. You're not at all. You go out and you wait for rides. Do you realize how backwards that is? You go out, you sign on your app, you go and you say, oh hey, I just bought a $30,000, $40,000 car for rideshare. I'm just gonna go out and sit and wait for my $5 ride to come in. No, that is so backwards thinking, because again, you just like okay, I'm gonna end this video here because this is just I'm just, you know, nailing the whatever. I'm beating a dead horse with this, but the thing is, Uber and Lyft want you to buy a brand new car for Uber and for Lyft to drive. Uber and Lyft want you to invest in a nice car for rideshare. Why? Because they want to provide their passengers with the best experience. And think about it, guys. Think how crazy this is, that there are millions of Uber and Lyft drivers spending money on their own car, spending money on their own rental car, paying for rental cars. Uber and Lyft do not provide $1 of reimbursement for any gas, any depreciation. The only thing you get is a tax write-off on the miles that you put on your car, and some depreciation as well. So it's just, I'm trying to explain to you that Uber and Lyft, their marketing tactic is they tell you all your gross revenue, right? Even in the Lyft, Uber rental car programs, they give you they tell you how much you're making, and then they even give you bonuses to pay back the car. So again, they don't want you to consider the expenses. They basically want you to start driving, not do the math on how much you're actually making, because it's considerably low. And again, if you're driving a brand new car, you are making half as much as somebody who's driving a used car. I will end it, sorry, there's so much to get into, but another big contest that I get is that, oh, well, when you drive a brand new car, you don't have maintenance. You don't have as much maintenance on your car. And when you drive a used car, you're gonna pay more in maintenance. That is a myth. That is a myth. Unless you buy an absolute horrible car that barely even runs and you have to pay all this stuff to get it fixed, then sure, you know, your maintenance might cost a couple grand. But even when you buy a used car, I only drive used cars, guys. How much do I pay in maintenance a year on this $5,000 car? So to prove your point, I would have to pay over $25,000 in maintenance for it to be more expensive than a new car. Can you guys guess how much money I've spent on this car in maintenance per year? Less than $1,000. And I'm not joking. I take this car to get oil changed. I check the tire pressure all the time. I do tire rotations. I do simple little things. And the most that I have to do are things that you would have to do on a new car anyway, like change the tires. This tire is obviously getting very flat. I need to get a new tire on that. Besides that, I had to change the idle pulley. That was like 200 bucks. Literally, like, the maintenance on a used car is not that much. Okay, sorry, there's so many things I can talk about. The last thing I'll do is, where do you buy a used car? Because I hope by now you're convinced that you should not buy a new car or an expensive car for Uber and for Lyft. So where do you get a used car? How do you get a used car? You need to use leverage. Use your leverage. Time is on your hands. When you time is your leverage as a buyer, as a used car buyer. The worst thing you want to do is go to a dealership and buy a car the same day, the first day you go. You want to shop around. I 100% recommend buying a car on either Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, or some of these third-party apps, or third-party ways. I would not buy it from a dealership. Why? Because dealerships upcharge you a lot, and they're gonna make a huge profit. They have big margins, and they're not gonna sell it to you for cheap, and they're gonna throw in warranties and hidden fees and all that, and you're gonna end up paying, like if I bought this car at a dealership, I would pay around $12,000 for it. Instead, I bought it from a private party, and it cost me about $5 grand. Why? Because I negotiated. If I said, oh hey, I need a car tomorrow, I need a car today, he'd be like, okay, I'll sell it to you for 10. And I would have been like, okay, cool, let me write a big loan for you. Instead I said, oh, you know what, 10 is a little too much, you know, I was thinking more like 5 or 4, and then if he goes, oh sorry, no, I can only go to 8, I'll be like, okay, no worries, thank you anyway. You keep doing that again and again and again. You find cars that you like. I recommend getting a car with around 100,000 miles on it. Why? Because most cars last to 200, and 100,000 miles, it still drives pretty well. It's not that used. If you can't stand driving a used car, knowing that there's other people in your car that have driven that car, you're a germaphobe, get over it. Get the hell over it. Go get your car detailed, get it cleaned. You're not rich, or if you are rich, then sure, buy a new car. But if you can't afford a used car, a good thing to live by is, if you can't afford it to pay it in cash, don't buy it. If you have the money to pay it in cash and you want to finance and use that money to invest in, I don't know, Roth IRA or whatever you want to do with your life, I'm not going to judge you. But if you don't have the money to pay for it in cash, do not buy it. Save up a cheap car. Save up to buy a $2,000 car. Yes, save up and then use that car and then buy. Because the thing is, when you're buying used cars, guys, they don't depreciate in value. That's the beautiful thing. I could still turn around and sell this car here for 5,000 bucks. And then let's say I saved up another 5,000, which I already have, but I'm not going to, because I don't want to put in my money in another car that's depreciating. You guys seeing my logic here? I have enough to buy a newer car, but I'm not going to, because you don't want to invest your money in something that's going down in value. Cars go down in value like crazy, even if you don't drive them. Used cars go down in value a lot, right? So a good thing to live by is if you can't afford it in cash, don't buy it. And the second thing to live by, this is advice from Dave Ramsey that I listened to. This is how I learned it. But he says you should, he's a multi-millionaire. He's helped millions of people get out of debt. You should definitely check him out if you haven't yet. But his word of advice is you should not invest more than 50% of your annual income in cars. So anything with cars, anything with wheels, motors, like any expensive lawnmowers, boats, cars, things that depreciate in value a lot, you shouldn't have more than half of your annual income invested in it. So for Uber drivers, let's say you're making 50,000 bucks a year. I'm talking take home, guys. This is take home. So if you make 50,000 bucks on the app, you're probably making more like 30,000 take home, maybe 20,000. You don't want to invest, you don't want to have more than half of your annual income in a car. Let's say you're an accountant and you make 100,000 bucks a year. And sure, you could potentially have a car up to $50,000 a year, but that's too expensive of a car in my opinion. Anyway, I like to make it way less. My annual income, guys, I'm not gonna tell you exactly what it is, but it is this car, my $5,000 car. Do I make more than 10,000 bucks a year? Yes. The bigger the gap is between how much you owe and how much you have tied up in cars and your annual income, the better. Okay, sorry. These are all my thoughts. I hope you, I don't know, took something away from this, or if you don't agree with me, I want to hear your thoughts. I know I'm not perfect. This is just what I think. If you want to achieve financial freedom, this is literally what I recommend. If my buddy came up to me and asked me, hey, should I buy a brand new car for Uber and for Lyft? That is what I would tell him. Thank you all for watching. Let me know your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye, guys.